Hey guys, today we're going to be working on a floor. We're going to be doing a laminate flooring. So we're going to show you some tips and tricks to get the flooring installed easily and a little smoother. This particular color is called Asheville Pine. And here's what it looks like up front. It has a nice wood grain, natural rustic wood grain to it with a hint of gray to it. You have an interlocking system here on both ends and also along the edge. So that's what we're going to be showing you today. The product I'm using, actually, there you go, if you're interested in this color, is Asheville Pine. Purchased it at Lowe's. As far as supplies go, is a few things you're going to need, which is just helpful to have before you start the project, is you want to make sure you have a broom and a mop, and also a vacuum. Some kind of vacuum, doesn't have to be a wet dry vac. We're just going to lay it right on the terrazzo floor that we have. But first, we had to sweep. We're going to make sure you sweep it good, and then we're going to mop it. And if your floor has a lot of residue left on it, you might want to make sure that you use some light pine sol or even a vinegar and water solution, like a 50-50 solution. So as you start this project, as you can see, we have installed some of it already. I'm going to go ahead and take you through in just a few minutes and show you the rest. But you want to kind of have maybe a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch space from your wall to your edge when you're installing this. And this particular property, we have taken off the baseboard, as you can see, because it's much easier to install. We're going to replace actually this baseboard with some new baseboard. But if you have existing baseboard, just go ahead and install it as close to your baseboard as you can. You might have to go over it with a little trim piece, like a little 1/4 round trim piece, and then use some finishing nails to finish that up. So let's get started. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to take this plank here. See the end here, how this interlocks with this piece here, right here. So what you're going to do first is you're going to slide this in here, and you'll feel it kind of lock in. You want to get it a little close down to this corner here. So you're going to get it in here. See how the groove is nice and tight right here? You can't see any space between there. Kind of lift this up. You want to make sure that your piece, see how that just kind of slipped in right here in this corner? So your corners are nice and clean. You want to hold that in place. And then as you pull it down here, you kind of keep it up at this angle. And you kind of you want to make sure you have no line between here, so it's a nice clean line. You want to make sure it's in there nice and square. And as long as your board falls down to the floor, you know it's square. Another thing you can do is, if you're not sure, is you don't want to go along the little plastic piece here. You want to make sure that you lay your board just along the edge of the tile and just hit it real gently, just to see if you don't think it's locked in really well. Okay, so now we got to the end run here, and we're going to be butting it up against the wall. The other thing you want to make sure you do as you're starting a room is start from the front left corner and work your way across. Just follow the directions on the box and it'll let you know that, but it's a lot easier to install. So anyway, so now we're here on this back corner where we've continued to do our runs, working this way across. And now we came to this end piece here where you can see it needs to be cut, because this piece is only this long, and here we're at the wall. So the strip is going to have to be cut. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the piece and we're going to line it up against the wall, and then we just use a scrap piece of back of the tile and line it up. And you want to make sure that you're cutting it according to how it's supposed to fit onto this next tongue and groove piece that's here. So we're cutting it. Make sure that your piece, see how that just kind of slipped in right here in this corner? So your corners are nice and clean. You want to hold that in place. Okay, so we have this piece. It's a little bit long to the wall, as you can see. We're measuring it out. So it's going to have to be trimmed. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we have it laying in there properly so it fits into these grooves. And then we're going to flip it around to make sure that we're trimming the side that goes against the wall. And then we're just going to use a piece of scrap and any kind of flat, straight edge will be fine, a piece of wood. And then we're going to go ahead and cut it, score it with a sharp blade knife a few times. Okay. And then we're just going to go ahead and snap off. You just kind of snap it backwards. The smaller the piece, the more difficult it is to do. Okay, so now we're going to just test to make sure it's the right size in there. It's going to fit front to the corner. Remember, when you're doing this laminate, you want to kind of leave it floating a little bit against maybe about 1/4 to 1/2 inch away from the whole wall. Okay, so now we're working on a doorway here. So the grain of the wood is coming along this way, which is pretty easy cut. But you want to make sure this is all lined up, so when you go ahead and put your transition strip there, we've already done a few pieces. But now we're here in this corner. Is what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of scrap, again, underneath, and Dremel, or a multi-tool, whatever you have. You can saw it as well. Use a hand saw. Whatever you got to do to kind of get that open in there. Okay, now that we think we have it nice and cleaned out in there, it's going to kind of go around with the scrap piece and double check. Okay, and then we might have to go back over. All right, now that we think we have it cleaned out enough, we're going to go ahead and use the vacuum. Clean up all that debris. Yeah, the reason we want to make sure the area is all clean after we did that work is we don't want those little pieces of wood or debris, whatever it may be, to get under our laminate floor laying. So now we're going to go ahead and put this piece in here as we're trying to work from one direction to the other side. We got this side completed and underneath here. So we can see that this piece of flooring is wider than the space we have between the last one and the door jamb. So we're going to have to mark this. So what we do is lay it here and lay it there, mark it. Okay, so we got our two corners. Template it out. We're going to use a Dremel to actually cut it. You can use a razor blade too. Okay, snaps out of there. In the grooves here. A little piece of wood and a hammer. You want to be careful not to damage the end of the tile, so you want to get it right on the little edge there. Okay, and you might have to keep playing with it a little bit just to kind of keep trimming it to see what you got to do to get it fit in there. Good. All right. Good. All lined up. Okay, now we're getting ready to finish up the whole floor. Doing our last pieces here. So remember when you're installing this, you leave a little space here if you still need to put a transition strip between your floor you're laying and whatever existing floor you have, if you don't already have one.